Now, this Tony Conti, okay, undercover agent. Let me ask you, did he really have a liaison with these ladies, or were they plants? Were they undercover plants?
No, he had no liaison with any ladies. It's like anything else. You're out, and it's part of part of his cover. We were in a restaurant. There were three ladies dining alone, so he just sent over drinks. That was it. I mean, there was no conversation with him. Just call a waiter over. Hey, send those three ladies over some drinks. That was it.
And that thing blew up to his integrity. He was a ladies' man, and you guys planted that after, like you said, a meeting that wasn't planned with three ladies. So he sent over drinks. That's all. But you guys capitalized on that.
Sure.
To get him out of his undercover role.
Yeah, sure we did. And if you recall, I capitalized on we capitalized on a art heist that took place in Chicago.
Right, you did that too.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, so that gives you...
We planted that.
Street cred, right?
Exactly.
Wow. And it really, outside of the one time that Tony Conti slipped and called you Joe, which could have been curtains for everybody, he was a pretty sharp guy too, huh?
Oh, he was one of the best. I mean, I worked other undercover operations with Tony, and he was one of the best undercovers that we had. And he was a pretty hefty guy, former Marine, rugged, and he was a good talker, and he just had a brain freeze at one time. That's all. We all get him.
That's for our listeners, our loyal listeners. You know what that is. New listeners. Joe was driving in a car with Lefty Two Guns Ruggiero and Tony Conti and Joe, and they're in Milwaukee, and they're driving around looking, and all of a sudden, he's going Donnie, and oh yeah, Donnie, and he all of a sudden came up and said, "Yeah, Joe, you remember." Now, Lefty, who this was a little harder for him to decipher than the Lefty on the boat, because that was pretty evident, right?
Yeah, I mean, he picked right up on it.
Yep, he picked right up on it. And then what did our dear friend Tony Conti do? He kept using Joe all the time.
All
hey,
night.
Joe, how are you? At the ticket booth, in a restaurant, to the waiter. Hey, Joe, what sort of mess? It worked, Joe.
That's the new thing in Milwaukee. Everybody's Joe.
Everybody's Joe. You created that. So the capo, your capo, Lefty's capo, Sabella, right?
Mike Sabella.
Sabella?
That's correct, Mike Sabella.
All right. He's would like to probably whack the two of you when this thing surfaced that maybe Balistrieri's girlfriend was hit on.
Well, yeah, because don't forget, Leo, all this is about money. I mean and being married to the Balistrieris, two mob families married together, splitting illegal profits, and now it cuts us out, and plus it makes Mike look bad. His prestige, as Lefty would say, is harmed. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and and he looks bad to his higher ups, and on and on.
It goes down a line. I look bad to Lefty. Lefty looks bad to Mike. Mike looks bad to the boss, to the underboss, to the consigliere. Because don't forget, I take the deal to Lefty. Lefty takes the deal to Mike Sabella. Mike Sabella takes the deal to the underboss, and then to the consigliere, and then Bonanno's have to get in touch with Chicago. So you involve the Chicago family. Then the Chicago family gets in touch with Balistrieri in Milwaukee. So now you got three families deciding whether the Bonnanos can go to Milwaukee and get into a relationship with the Milwaukee family.
All right, so now I'm not real bright, but here, all Mike Sabella says to Lefty, I'm out of my imagination. So does Donnie. I mean, Donnie, he's us, right? I mean, he's with us. I mean, you trust him 100%. Yeah, no, trust him 100%. Then, when Sabella goes to the underboss, he's going to ask the same questions. This guy, Donnie, you know him? Yeah, no, Donnie, Sonny Lefty, yeah. And then he's got to go sell you to the consigliere, and then the boss gives.
I knew all these people before, but he still had a silly idea that it was a good idea, and that they trusted that we had to sell Tony basically. So I had to sell Tony, and then to Lefty. Then Lefty had to sell Tony. Me and Lefty then had to sell Tony to Mike, and up the chain. So we all, we had to sell Tony. And then...
You know what? It's like if some people think Cosa Nostra was loose-fitting, they had their chain of command.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to do it.
And then...
My God.
And then when it went south... we had to tell Mike Sabella, and then we had then we had to have a sit down with Mike. So we go to Casabella, which was Mike's restaurant down in Little Italy, and we go upstairs and in the rooms upstairs. And now you gotta be very careful. You have to explain to him what happened, and we got to convince him that Tony didn't screw up. With somebody he didn't insult Frank. He didn't insult Frank's sons. He didn't. It wasn't because he was fooling around with the hostess in the in Frank's restaurant hotel. And then I don't know if you remember this, but Mike was mad. He was pissed. In fact, our punishment, I don't know if you remember.
Oh, this was back, say it for the listeners. I love this.
Our punishment was we couldn't go to the Christmas party.
I said, well, Joe, you got what you deserved. And you could probably spend Christmas then with your family,
From Jam Street Media.